Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Simon Rafe. Father Pavone willing to bring baby Joseph to the United States. From LifeSite News, Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life, and who became known as the Terri Schiavo priest for his role in trying to save the life of the late Florida woman in 2005, has joined the fight to save a Canadian baby from a cruel early death. If I have to fly from Rome to Canada to get baby Joseph out of the hospital and back home where he belongs, I am ready to do that right now, said Father Pavone, who has been attending meetings at the Vatican. This same family's daughter died from similar complications 8 years ago, but in that case, doctors performed a tracheotomy, and they were able to take her home, where she died peacefully among loved ones. The family wants the same for Joseph. They have been trying to have Joseph transferred to a hospital in the US, where they believe that he'll get better care, or at least a reassessment, and possibly the tracheotomy that he needs to bring him home. With the tracheotomy, he could breathe on his own. The baby suffers from a severe neurological disorder from which doctors give him no chance of recovery. Ontario's Superior Court supports the doctor's move to take baby Joseph off life support against his parents' wishes. Abortion is an injustice, not a right. That is the recently released statement from the Peruvian Bishop's Defense of Life Committee regarding any law permitting abortion, according to the Catholic News Agency. Only ignorant minds opposed to the truth could fail to recognize the human nature of the unborn as confirmed by the science and law, the statement continued. A law that leaves human life unprotected is questionable in and of itself, they said. The committee rejected the idea that the life of an unborn child is not as important as the mother's, just because the child does not yet occupy a place in the world. The unborn are part of the reality in which we live, the committee said, and therefore they must be taken into account when decisions are made, including political ones. Human rights begin at the moment of conception, and therefore the unborn must never become mere scientific studies, the bishops concluded. Former Planned Parenthood director becoming Catholic. Former Planned Parenthood clinic director Abby Johnson has announced that she is preparing to enter the Catholic Church, this according to the Catholic News USA. Johnson, who has recently been speaking at pro-life events around the country, will become Catholic along with her husband Doug in her native Texas within the next 3 months, CNS reports. The couple has a 4-year-old daughter. The more we started learning about the beliefs of the Church and the Eucharist and everything, it seemed like this was what had been missing our whole lives. After 8 years as a Planned Parenthood volunteer and employee, Johnson walked away from her job as director of a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic in Texas during a prayer vigil by 40 Days for Life. Johnson, who had one abortion at age 20 and another at 23, first began working as a clinic escort while a student at Texas A&M University. Assisting with an ultrasound during an abortion in September 2009 turned her into a pro-life advocate. Stay with us, we'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
CatholicUnderground.com, the podcast about our Catholic faith and new media.
Woman renounces her ordination. A Catholic woman who was ordained to the diaconate has renounced her ordination and relinquished all connections to Roman Catholic women priests. Dr. Norma Jean Kuhn was ordained by Bishop Patricia Fresnon of the group Roman Catholic Women Priests on July 22, 2007, LifeSite News reports. In a recent statement on her website, Dr. Kuhn calls the ceremony illegitimate and expresses regret for the scandal caused. I confess to the truth of Pope John Paul II's apostolic letter Ordinato Sacerdotales, she writes, referring to the document affirming the infallibility of the Church's teaching on the male priesthood. I confess the authority of the Holy Father on these issues of ordination and recognize that Christ founded the ordination only for men. Dr. Kuhn says she only acted as a deacon on 2 occasions, once reading the gospel and then distributing communion, and then withdrew from the program within 2 weeks of the ceremony. Formally, I relinquish all connection to the program of Roman Catholic women priests, and I disclaim the alleged ordination publicly, with apologies to those whose lives I've offended or scandalized by my actions, she writes. I ask God's blessings upon each of these folks and their families. And finally, new improved iPhone rosary app. Praying to Mary? There's an app for that. Developed by the students of the University of Calacún in Manila, the latest version of their virtual rosary application for iPod, iPad, and iPhones has now been released, according to ucanews.com. The application contains a full international Catholic calendar, automatic mysteries of the rosary selection, a choice of rosary beads, prayers, confessions, images and artwork, Bibles, Bible study programs, faith tests, and more. According to the developers, the app makes lots of Catholic information readily available wherever you are. Unique to the virtual rosary suite is the integration of social networking, allowing users to show friends how much rosary or Bible study they are doing each day, their faith test scores, and more. The application works in English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. Support for more languages is also planned. I'm Simon Ray. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out the Vortex today, where Michael Voris is once again coming to us from the Philippines. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tell all of your friends about us. And as always, God bless.